Burton, thank you so much for your time. How's everything going? How have you been enjoying retirement?
I it's not bad. It's the challenge is trying to find enough to do, but we manage. There's a lot of reading, a lot of traveling, so things are going very well.
And I imagine watching a lot of SEC football as well. Just what have you made of the Crimson Tide and the Bulldogs this season?
Well, I'm a college football addict, and especially the SEC because of the 17 years I had with the conference. Uh, I just I followed those two teams particularly, Georgia and Alabama. I was curious, just going back and looking at some notes this morning, that of all the SEC championship games I did, 17 in all, only once previously was it Georgia and Alabama. That surprised me. We've had Alabama in several times and Georgia, but only in 2012 did the two of them meet. So the history in this game is not that deep between these two. But I think across the country, fans who follow the SEC were kind of hopeful that Georgia and Alabama would make it to Atlanta this coming Saturday, and I know I'm excited about it. I sure am.
We certainly are as well, and we mentioned you were the longtime voice of the SEC on CBS, starting in the year 2000. First of all, what did you think when you got that first assignment from CBS? Did you feel like you would have a long run calling SEC football, or how did you approach it when you first got the job, first got the assignment of calling the top SEC game each week?
Well, I didn't want to do it. At the time in '99, I was the number two guy in the NFL. My partner was Dan Deerdorf, and being the number two is not a bad in the National Football League. It's not bad. You're doing the second biggest game every week. You're doing the lead game if there's a doubleheader. You do the lead early game, and Dan and I were good friends, and I was very, very comfortable. And then Sean McManus, the chairman of the board at CBS Sports, called me, and he said, I think we're going to move you to the SEC. And I swallowed hard and said, well, okay, I was a soldier. And but I didn't care to do it. And then in September of 2000, I was working with Todd Blackledge, and our first game was Florida at Tennessee. And Neyland Stadium, and I had never been to Neyland before that weekend, 107,000 people, and it was a thrilling environment. And Jesse Palmer led Florida to a come from behind win. I think he threw the winning touchdown to Jabbar Gaffney with like 10 seconds left. The game is over. Florida wins. We go off the air, and I look at Todd, and I said, are they all like this? And he grinned at me, and he said, enough of them. And over the course of the next 17 years, of course, that proved true. And it became the biggest assignment of my career, the most important, the most significant, and the one I treasured the most. But the first year, I fell into it, and I soon fell in love with the SEC. And it came time after 17 years. One gets older, and my boss said, "What do you think?" And I thought, "Yeah, it's a good time to walk away from it." I had made plenty of mistakes on the air, but I didn't want to make more of them, and so we decided mutually that 2016 would be the last year, and then I was able to hand it over to the more than capable hands of Brad Nessler. And I only had two sidekicks. It was Todd and then Gary Danielson. And Gary and I were together for 11 years. I think I only had three sideline reporters. Jill Arrington was the first, Wilson next, and Allie LaForce was third. So we had a grand group, and then through it all, Craig Silver and Steve Milton, producer and director, were consistent, and they are as good as it goes in any kind of sport.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you more about the crew because the way CBS, the SEC on CBS telecast, really captured the environments and the feeling and the sounds you all had. Your crew did a remarkable job in just bringing SEC football to the masses. What can you say about how they were able to capture college football, maybe in a way that some other telecasts do not?
Well, in my view, it's consistency, and I've got a picture back home in Steamboat Springs that I treasure. It is the entire crew of our SEC on CBS broadcast, 75 strong. Now, there are changes every year. People retire or move on, but for the most part, there's a consistency. And these are handpicked. They are the best in the business. And, I mean, no matter from the producer, Craig Silver, to the guy who's holding the parabolic mic on the sideline, these, and I don't mean to diminish that position, but I mean, every one of these men and women are chosen because they're excellent at what they do. And that consistency of knowing the person who's next to you, for those of us in the booth, of having the same stage manager, they allowed me to travel my statistician and spotter. And Gary has his own spotter, a wonderful man named David Moulton. And I think working together, you learn the strengths and weaknesses of each, and that enhances the quality of the telecast. I'm very proud of what we do. I'm still, when I watch on Saturdays, I'm extremely proud of the product we put in the air, and I have bragging rights about our group, but I do think we do it better than any other broadcast network.
Well, SEC fans, Alabama fans certainly enjoyed watching all the games. Of course, this will be the final telecast of the SEC championship game by the CBS crew. We saw a terrific Iron Bowl this past week. I'm sure it's got to be bittersweet feelings getting to celebrate the SEC on CBS this Saturday, but also say goodbye to what has been a terrific partnership for a long time.
Well, we're having a dinner tonight, all of us, on the production crew, I guess, but it will be emotional. I mean, people's careers and their lives have been invested totally in what's going on in the SEC. And so I bet there'll be a few hugs and handshakes and tears at the dinner this evening. Our crew will stay intact. We're going to the Big Ten next year, the second game in the Big Ten. But these friendships and bonds that you form with each school in the SEC are extremely strong and life-altering. So those relationships and those venues and the coaches and players, they'll all be missed greatly.
Certainly will. Well, Verne, thank you so much for your time here with us on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, getting to reminisce about all the great years of the SEC on CBS. We hope you have a wonderful weekend coming up in Atlanta. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you again.
Thank you, Roger.